Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel. In today's episode for Ford Friday, the second generation Ford Mondeo. Hello and welcome back, and if you're new to Quarterlight, we're a car brochure channel looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s and sometime beyond that as well. So if you're interested in cars and car brochures, please consider subscribing. Anyway, this particular video was first shown on the Friday, and our episodes for Friday we call Ford Friday because we look at Fords. Today is no exception. We're looking at the Ford Mondeo. Now, this particular one is the second generation. It's actually a little bit out of our scope of cars, possibly almost too modern for Quarterlight, but somebody did ask for this one when I did the first generation Ford Mondeo, so I try and put out what you guys want. So let's have a look at this second generation Ford Mondeo. So the Ford Mondeo, the first generation came out in November 1992. Sales began in March 1993, and certainly was a move away from the Sierra, and of course it went from rear wheel drive to now we've got a front wheel drive Ford in this sector, and it was a big change for Ford. It wasn't like the huge change from a Cortina to a Sierra, but still it would have taken a little bit of getting used to. And I must admit, the first generation Mondeo I found was a little bit dull to look at least compared to the Sierra. Now here we've got the Mk2 or second generation Mondeo. These came out in October 2000. We've actually got a price list here for October 2000, so we'll have a look at that a little bit later on, see how they priced it when they released. And this is a very early 2001 brochure introducing the new Ford Mondeo, and I must admit I actually found it a quite nice facelift. Really, it kind of like looks like something a little bit now, where the Mk1, like I say, I found it was a little bit dull to look at. And they changed the interior, a bit more of a Germanic looking interior as well. Now, we've been looking at Australian cars for over the last few weeks, and I do really like the Australian cars. The change for the Mk2 Ford Mondeo is Ford Australia said no, we don't want it. That sort of sector is dying off. So as far as I know, Australia never actually received this second generation Ford Mondeo. Third generation kind of like came in sort of late 2006 to give you an idea of where this one fits in. Now, styling wise, let's just zoom in on that. Try to super zoom in, I guess. Try and pick out, you just about make out the gear badge there. So this is the gear, and actually looking at those alloy wheels, this is actually going to be the top of the range Gear X. So forgiven for saying this looks like a really nice car, but at the end of the day, it is the absolute top of the range model. But anyway, I think a little bit more character of the Mk1 overall. But let's open the brochure up and have a look inside. So as we turn the page and look inside, we can really look at the rear of this particular Mondeo. You can really see those styling cues, them styling ideas, those angular curves on there, kind of like a bit of a move away from all the curviness. This particular model is actually the base model, the LX. So at this time we had base model LX, Z-Tech, Z-Tech S, Gear, and the car you aspire to have, the Gear X. Unfortunately though, I'm not a bigger fan of the brochures for Ford of this era. I much prefer the sort of like 80s brochures, and even earlier the 70s and 80s brochures for Ford, because you picked a model like this, you turned the page, it went LX, told you a bit about it, a few nice pictures. Then you go to your Z-Tech, your Z-Tech S, your Gear, same sort of thing, a new page. Gear X, turn the page again, features the car, tell you a bit more about it. I wish they still did that now. So in this particular brochure we're getting random images of the various different models really. So I don't like it as much, but this is your base model. You can certainly see those wheel trims on there looking pretty cheap, aren't they? Wheel trims are wheel trims at the end of the day, I guess. So this is the LX. Now, the one extra that this particular model does have shown here is the paint. So this is a metallic paint. It's a silver. Silver was very much the colour in the year 2000. I think everyone seemed to want silver. So if you look at 2000s, early 2000s car brochures, most of the cars are featured in silver, although surprisingly a really good colour range actually for the Mondeo, but we'll come to that in a moment. This particular colour is called medium steel blue metallic paint, although I'm not sure where the blue comes in there. It also tells us here, so it's just a very bad picture because, you know, that's medium steel blue. It has got a little bit of a blue tone to it, where it looks more like that sort of Stardust silver, doesn't it? And like I say, Stardust silver was really the popular colour at the time when everyone wanted a silver car in the year 2000s. We do have all-round disc brakes and ABS as standard on all the different models, which is nice. It tells us the anti-lock braking system incorporates electronic brake force distribution, EBD, which limits rear wheel slip in advance of the main system coming into operation. So a bit more safety kit. We get something called EBA, emergency brake assist. So it says, together with its highly sophisticated chassis, suspension and braking system, the new Ford Mondeo is available with optional at extra cost EBA. The advanced system is designed to help reduce emergency stopping distances by reinforcing the driver's braking effort. And then we turn the page and we're kind of like introduced with another random model. This one's a Z-Tech, so one up from the base model, and this colour, if you're interested, Colorado red. And I think one of the things about the Mk2 Mondeo, it seems a bit of a larger, more substantial car. It tells us here the distinctive feature of the new Ford Mondeo suspension system is the commanding wider track. This makes the ride smoother and more predictable by help reduce body roll. The front subframe is isolated from the body by rubber mounts designed to help insulate the passenger from road noise and vibration. We turn the page, we kind of like get another almost random model here. This is the gear. So kind of like the fourth model up, we've kind of like ignored the Z-Tech S. And do you know what I mean? In an old brochure, this would have been lots of pictures of the gear and tell you all about the gear, but I really don't like how they changed that format. Gear, of course, one of the cars you would certainly aspire to have once upon a time. This particular example is in State Blue Metallic, but even on the gear, it is an optional extra colour. I kind of like where I like the placement of the gear badge. I guess the front wing that kind of like limits the amount of space that's on there now, but they moved it to the back there. Nice that they still put it on there, but like I say, I don't think the gear badge meant as much in the year 2000s. And again, rather than telling you a bit about the gear, it's kind of like random information. So, reduced levels of friction in the power assisted steering help to take the effort out of driving without losing touch with the road. There is constant sense of control through instant response and positive feedback. Whether you're parking or negotiating tight bends, you point the car where you want to go and it goes there. Well, you kind of like would expect that, wouldn't you? Effortlessly and accurately. So you can still get different body choices. So the 4-door and the 5-door shown there, although with the Sierra and the Sierra Sapphire, you really felt that you was getting something different. There was a clear difference. With these Mondeos, you can see they've kind of like tried to hide the fact that one is a hatch, one is a saloon. But you do get a very practical 5-door estate version, which I think actually is probably my favourite of these models. Still quite good model availability in that you can get different engine choices with your different models, and like I say, the models available with your LX, Z-Tech, Z-Tech S, Gear and Gear X, and your petrol choices. So with the LX and the Z-Tech, you could have the 1.8 injection 16 valve, possibly a little bit of a small engine for the 2000s and the engine size. I think the 2 litre was probably the one you wanted. Again, you could get that, you can option up to that for in your LX and your Z-Tech. But there was also other models available as well. You can have that 2 litre as a manual or an automatic. You could even step up to a 2.5 injection V6 24 valve. Strangely only available on the Z-Tech S and Gear X. Kind of think the Gear would have been available with that as well, but no. And it looks like there was a diesel option to have. You can only get the diesel on the LX, Z-Tech, Gear and Gear X. It also gives you a bit of an idea of the different exterior features. So the LX has got ABS with electronic brake force distribution, power assisted steering, steel wheels with 5-spoke wheel covers, power operated and heated door mirrors, safeguard engine immobiliser, perimeter alarm, remote central locking, double locking and roof rails for the estate. And then Z-Tech adds body colour body side mouldings and door handles. We've got alloy wheels and front fog lamps. Z-Tech S adds over the Z-Tech exterior sport styling kit, different spoke alloy wheels and electronic stability program. Then the Gear adds over the Z-Tech with a different alloy wheel again by the looks of it. And then finally the Gear X adds over the Gear with again a different alloy wheel, power sunroof and electronic stability program, V6 only. Now one thing it does is kind of like give you the interior features of, at least we've got 3 different spec pictures here. So the base model, sorry about a few of the reflections. So this is your LX, very dark somber interior, but certainly not like base models of old. If you think about 70s and 80s, Ford almost went out of the way to make sure the base model was as stripped out as possible. They almost look like they spent money to make it look even more poverty spec. Not so anymore. I mean, you can certainly live quite happily with the base models here. The Z-Tech certainly lifted it with sort of them two-tone door cards and that different coloured seat. And the kind of like Gear went the same sort of way with even a little bit more extra sort of two-tone material. So I mean, certainly you could argue the Gear was the model to have. It was the nicest interior, but really, like I say, you could certainly live with the base model. Like base model, remember the base model Sierra? How basic it was. They really went out the way, and I think that was kind of like Ford's philosophy in the 70s and 80s to really say, you know, you've got a base model, try and work harder to get a higher spec next time. But here, you know, quite easy to live with your base model. And then it kind of like lists some of those key features for various models. So the LX, power operated heated door mirrors, dual stage drivers and front passenger airbags, front seat side airbags, side curtain airbags, Model 6000 radio CD with remote control, driver's power height adjust and manual lumbar support, 3 rear head restraints, CFC free air conditioning, quick clear heated front windscreen, power front and rear windows with bounce back sensor and global closing, and a cargo net and tonneau cover on the estate. So with features like that, really, when you're thinking this is 2001, not that long ago, that would have been really looking at a top of the range car. If we move over to the Z-Tech and Z-Tech S features, I wish they just put on here what extra you actually get on there. Just trying to work out what are the extras. I think it's things like a quick clear heated front windscreen, a metallic finish centre console bezel, passenger manual lumbar support, rear centre armrests, and the rest look like they're the same. So let's move up to the next model. The next model is the Gear, and again they've just kind of listed the key features, and certainly on the older brochures they put on there as the LX plus these following, but it doesn't do it here, so we're going to have to have a quick look to see if we can work out what are the extras. Certainly the radio's an improvement, a Model 6006 rather than the Model 6000. And that's a radio with a 6-disc CD auto changer with remote control. Above the Z-Tech, we've got a black wood effect center console bezel. What else have we got here? Rear courtesy lights, trip computer. It's got a CFC-free air conditioning, but it's also now got an electronic automatic temperature control. And then the top of the range model, the Gear X, kind of like does what we wanted it to do all the time, just lists the features. So features over a gear, we get heated front seats, cruise control, power sunroof and leather trim. And it gives us a little bit of a shot on the interior. It weirdly doesn't tell us which model it's from, but it's going to be either the Gear or the Gear X. Can't really tell if that's leather trim or not. And then similarly again on the next page, without telling us what trim it is, but at the side it kind of like gives you some ideas of some of the features. So sunglasses storage, a lidded glove box, cup holders, door bins and centre armrest storage, and of course we get split folding rear seats. These are a 70-30 split. But then quite interesting, we get this bit of a technical page telling us about the engine choices. It tells us Ford remains at the forefront in engine design with its latest advances in powertrain technology. Smooth, quiet and refined, the new generation all-alloy Duratec HE petrol engines and two all-new 2-litre 16-valve Duratorque DI, I'm presuming, turbocharged diesel engines are designed to deliver the optimum blender power, fuel economy and advanced durability without compromise. Tells us there are new turbo diesel engines, so the all-new Duratec DI 16-valve direct injection turbo diesel will impress with its blend of performance, fuel economy and low emissions. And a few little images, so lightweight pistons, adaptive blade and geometry turbine, high pressure rotary pump and low emissions. And looks like we've got one more right at the bottom there, a balanced crank and a few more little sort of torque curves. New all-alloy petrol engines, Duratec HE family of all-new lightweight aluminium petrol engines is designed for efficiency, low fuel consumption and smooth, responsive performance. And there is the 2.5, the V6. So a compact V6, the free revving ultra compact 2.5 litre 24 valve Duratec V6 is recalibrated for smooth and responsive performance. Then talking about personalising, your accessories you can add on. Featuring the car, I think is probably my favourite actually, the Estate. I think it looks the best in my opinion anyway. Particularly in this top of the range trim. So this is going to be the Gear X. Yes, we finally get a look at the Gear X. Gives you an idea where that gear badge is to one side. And if we move in a little bit more, we can just about make out the Gear X badge. Yeah, nothing really too fancy, but I think that's my favourite one in the brochure. It goes on to give us some ideas, some of the accessories, so crossbars for bikes, navigation systems, of course tow bars, parking distance sensor, which you can clearly see on this particular model. New rear seat multimedia system, offers the ultimate in in-car entertainment, of course. Then a different alloy wheel you can option for your Z-Tech and Z-Tech S, which looks like this is the one here. And then we get the technical data. Colour and trim is after that for those who are interested. Let's just zoom in. So it starts by giving curb weights, which I'm not going to spend too much time looking at curb weights, dimensions, interior, estate, etc. But then it moves on to give us some engine data. So we've got the 1.8, which is a 1798cc engine. We've got a 2 litre 16 valve, which is 1999cc. We've got a 2.5 V6, which is a 2495cc, and of course that 2 litre direct injection turbo diesel, which is a 1998 unit. It also gives us some maximum power and maximum torque for those engines. Surprisingly, it also gives us the fuel and performance figures. You're looking at the 4-door saloons and you can see which derivative can have that particular engine choice. Now, of course, the diesel is the most fuel efficient of those, but you know, that 1.8 petrol isn't really that far behind. So maximum speed, as you would expect, that 2.5 V6 24 valve does 139 miles per hour, 0 to 62 in 8.2 seconds, which reasonable, not too bad at all, really, is it? The diesel's doing a maximum speed of 121, 0 to 62 in 9.8. You know, not looking that far earlier than this. You know, that was kind of like, you know, you really suffered with getting the diesel choice, but still reasonable performance, I think. It goes on to give us the figures for also the 5-door or the hatchback, which are very similar actually. It looks like the, amazingly enough, the 0 to 62 times are a fraction slower. And then the estate, which again is a fraction slower than that. You also get a little bit of a look at the wheel choice differences. Doesn't tell them what they are, but I'm assuming the top one is that wheel trim for LX, pretty much guaranteed. And I'm assuming ZTEC S, Gear X. And then finally we get to colour and trim, and I must admit it surprises me a little bit, but let's start by looking at the trim. So lots of different seat facings, obviously depending on what model and what colour you got, and then it goes down to the colours. And I must admit the colours surprise me. So we start with a diamond white, Colorado red, and dark true blue. They're kind of like your flat colours, your no cost option colours. And then we've got some nice metallics, so Amparo blue, State blue, Aquamarine frost, spruce green, juice green, pepper red, Stardust silver and Nantucket grey, panther black, and medium steel blue. So overall, I don't know what you think about that. I think that's a really nice choice of colours for the time. I mean, it doesn't seem like that long ago. It doesn't really seem that long ago, particularly for a quarter light, and I don't know if you're like me at quarter light, these seem like quite modern cars, to be honest with you. But a good range of colours, and I kind of like thought a good range of colours was a lot further back of this, so that's a nice reminder you could still get some good colours in the year 2000. So I guess it's pretty much in very recent times the colour choice is pretty much atrocious, where people just want white, black, or 100 different choices of grey. Kind of like, I don't know, I think I want this back again. Be nice to see some colours on the road again. And that's kind of the end of this brochure, so it gives you a little bit of a date there, February 2001, and where your dealer stamp would be. But I do have the price list for when the car was just released actually, so October 2000. And if you notice, it's just featuring the LX, the ZTEC, the Gear and the Gear X. No ZTEC S at this time, but nevertheless gives us a good idea of, you know, the price it was when it first came out. So it tells us the cheapest model at launch was the 4-door LX with the little 1.8 in there. On the road price, £14,595. Same price if you wanted the 5-door or the hatchback. Obviously more if you wanted the estate though. So the estate, basic estate there, the LX with the 1.8 was £15,595. And you can see with the estates you go all the way up to that Gear X. The most expensive choice would have been, well, surprisingly, the most expensive choice isn't that 2.5 V6, is it? The most expensive choice there is actually the diesel, £21,395. I think the 5-door hatches were probably the most popular buy though for the first and second generation Mondeos. And you can see you can get a Gear X with that 2.5 V6 for £19,895. But back in the real world, what is the best choice to go for there? I kind of still want a gear, so maybe a base 2-litre gear, £17,195. Still seems a lot of money. I think the best buying option was to wait a number of years and get a used gear. I don't think they really held the price that well. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching Quarterlight today and Ford Friday. Tomorrow we'll have a special edition of some kind of make and model of car. I'm not even sure myself yet. But thank you so much for watching. If you remember these cars, or if you still own one, please jot in the comments how you're getting on with it, or how you actually got on with it. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it a good long-term buy? I'm assuming you can buy them pretty cheap now, so cheap motoring now, I would imagine. If you've not done so already, please do consider subscribing. It really helps the channel, and everyone who's subscribed so far, I really appreciate you subscribing and constantly watching these videos for what is a very small YouTube channel. But for now, we'll say take care, all the best, and goodbye. So there we go, the Mark II Ford Mondeo and Ford Friday. Thank you so much for watching today. Please do subscribe if you've not done already. I'll put a little bit of a link to do that. I've also added a couple of videos you might be interested in watching that are in our back catalogue. But again, thank you so much for watching, and please do take care.